It's me, your friend, back with another installment of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Okay. I actually saved our place this time, so go me. Okay, let me move this a little bit closer. Okay. Lena looked up from her journal as Effie appeared in the doorway. Effie scrambled in and sat on her bed. People are here, you know, the party's starting. Lena had heard voices downstairs, but she was prepared to pretend she hadn't. He's here, Effie continued meaningfully. He, Costos. So? Effie got a look on her face. Lena, I'm not kidding. You've got to see him. Why? Effie leaned forward on her elbows. I know you'd think he'd be this little grandma's boy, but Lena, he's... When Effie got excited, she didn't finish her sentences. He's what? Lena raised an eyebrow. Stupendous, Effie declared. Lena was naturally a little curious, but she wouldn't admit it. I didn't come to Greece to find a boyfriend. Can I have him? Lena smiled for real. Effie, yes. Does it matter that you already have a boyfriend? Wow, come on, Effie, get into it. It did until I saw Costos. He's that great, huh? You'll see. Lena stood. So let's go. It was handy to have Costos built up so much. When she saw him, he would certainly be disappointing. Effie paused. You told Grandma you were coming up to change. Oh, yeah. Lena rifled through her bag. It was cool now that the sun had set. She put on a brown turtleneck, her least sexy piece of clothing, and pulled her hair back into a severe ponytail. Still, the pants were the pants. You know, those pants do seem kind of magical, Effie enthused. They look great on you, like even better than usual. Thanks, Lena said. Let's go. Whee! Effie said excitedly. I think Effie and I would get along. So, Costos wasn't disappointing. He was tall. He looked more like a man than a boy. He looked at least 18. He was good-looking enough to make Lena suspicious. Granted, Lena was suspicious of many things, but she had earned her suspicions about boys. Lena knew boys. They never looked beyond your looks. They pretended to be your friend to get you to trust them, and as soon as you trusted them, they went in for the grope. Ew. They pretended to want to work on a history project or volunteer on your blood drive committee to get your attention, but as soon as they got it through their skulls that you didn't want to go out with them, they suddenly weren't interested in timelines or dire blood shortages. Worst of all, on occasion they even went out with one of your best friends to get close to you, and broke that same best friend's heart when the truth came out. Lena preferred plain guys to cute ones, but even the plain ones disappointed her. Real. She personally thought that the only reason most girls put up with most boys at all was because they needed reassurance that they were pretty. That was one thing, maybe. The only thing. Perhaps. Lena knew about herself without reassurance. Lena's friends called her Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. The beauty part was more or less on target, but the love part was a joke. Lena was not a romantic. Lena, this is Costos, Grandma said. Lena could tell Grandma was trying to be cool, but she was just about blowing a gasket with excitement. Costos, this is my granddaughter, Lena, Grandma said with a flourish, as though she were presenting a game show contestant with his new red car. Lena stuck her hand out stiffly and shook his, heading off any spontaneous Greek cheek kissing. I'm Greek, so can confirm there's a lot of cheek kissing of the relatives. He studied her face while he shook her hand. She could tell he was trying to hold her eyes for a moment, but she looked down. Costos is going to university in London in the fall, Grandma bragged, as though he were hers. He tried out with the national football team, she added. We are all so proud of him. Now Costos was the one looking down. Valia brags more than my own grandmother, he mumbled. Lena noted that his English was accented, but sure. But this summer, Costos is helping his papi. Grandma announced, and literally brushed a tear from the corner of her eye. Papi Donas has a problem with his. Grandma patted her hand over her heart. Costos changed his summer plans to stay home and help. Wow. Go Costos. Do you guys like my book commentary? I think it's fun, so I'm not going to stop even if you hate it. Okay, now Costos looked genuinely uncomfortable. Elena felt sudden sympathy for him. Valia, Papi is strong as ever. I always liked to work at the forge. Lena knew he was lying, and she liked him for it. Then she had a better idea. Costos, have you met my sister Effie yet? Effie had been bobbing around nearby the whole time, so it wasn't hard to find her elbow and pull her over. Costos smiled. You look like sisters, he said, and Lena wanted to hug him for it. For some reason, people always paid more attention to their differences than their similarities. Maybe it took a Greek to see it. Who's older? He asked. I'm older, but Effie's nicer, Lena said. Oh, please, Grandma said, practically snorting. Just a year older, Effie chimed in. 15 months, actually. I see, Costos answered. She's only 14. Grandma felt the need to point out. Go, Grandma. Lena will be 16 at the end of summer. Oh, that's not that much better. Do you have brothers or sisters? Effie, the eager subject changer, asked. Costos's face no. Costos's face became subtly guarded. No, just me. Oh, both girls said. Judging from Costos's expression, Lena could tell there was more to the story than that, and she silently prayed Effie wouldn't ask any more about it. She didn't want to get into intimacies here. Costos, play soccer. Lena tossed in just to be sure. Play soccer? Grandma practically shouted as though scandalized. He is a champion. He is a hero of Oya. Costos laughed. Selena and Effie did too. You young people, you talk. Grandma ordered and she vanished. I really feel kinship with this grandmother. Lena decided this could be a good opportunity to give Costos and Effie a moment. I'm going to get more food, she said. Later, she sat on the single chair outside the front door eating delicious stuffed grape leaves called tomades and olives. As many thousands of times. As she had eaten Greek food back in Maryland, it had never tasted precisely like this. Costos peered out the door. There you are, he said. You like to sit alone? She nodded. She'd chosen this spot mostly for its one chair. I see. He was very, very handsome. His hair was dark and wavy, and his eyes were yellow-green. There was a slight bump on the bridge of his nose. That means you should go away, she urged him silently. Costos walked back into the passageway that led past her grandparents' home and wound up on the cliff. He pointed downhill. That's my house, he said, pointing to a similar structure about 5 doors down. It had a wrought iron balcony on the second floor painted a vibrant green and holding back an avalanche of flowers. That's beautiful. Oh, long walk, she said. He smiled. She was about to ask whether he lived with his grandparents, but then she realized that would be inviting a conversation. He leaned against the whitewashed wall of the passageway. So much for the notion that Greek men were short. Okay. Would you like to take a walk with me? He asked. I want to show you the little village at the bottom of the cliff. No thanks, she said. She didn't even make an excuse. She had learned long ago that boys took excuses as further reasons to ask you out. He studied her face a moment, openly disappointed. Maybe another time, he said. She wanted him to go back inside and ask Effie to see the village, but instead he walked slowly down the hill and into his house. I'm sorry you asked me out, she told him silently. Otherwise, maybe I could have liked you. There were guys at soccer camp, as it turned out. There was one guy. No, there was more than one guy, but for Bridget, at that moment, there was one guy. He was a coach, it appeared. He was on the other side of the field, consulting with Connie. He had dark, straight hair and skin several shades darker than hers. He looked Hispanic, maybe. He had that graceful build of a midfielder. Even from here, his face looked complicated for a soccer coach. He was beautiful. It's not polite to stare. Bridget turned and smiled at Ollie. I can't help myself. Ollie nodded. He's every kind of hot. Do you know him? Bridget asked. From last year, Ollie explained. He was assistant coach of my team. We drilled all summer. What's his name? Eric Richmond. He's from LA. He plays at Columbia. I guess he'll probably be a sophomore this year. So he was older, but not that much older. Okay. Don't get your hopes up, Ollie said, reading her mind. The camp has a big anti-fraternizing policy, obviously. He follows it, though a lot of people have tried to get him not to. Let's gather, Connie was shouting, across the milling clumps of girls. Bridget pulled her hair out of the elastic. It fell around her shoulders, seeming to capture far more than its fair share of sunlight. She wandered over to where Connie had gathered with the other coaches. I'm going to read out the teams, Connie told the assembled group. Like many other longtime coaches, she had a voice as loud as a bullhorn when it was necessary. This is a big deal, okay? You stick with your team for 2 months, from the first scrimmages to the Coyote Cup at the end of the summer, okay? Know your team, love your team. She looked around at the collection of faces. You all know great soccer isn't about great players, it's about great teams. The crowd let out a little cheer. Bridget loved these pep talks. She knew they were corny, but they always worked on her. She imagined Tibby rolling her eyes. Before I read out the teams, let me introduce the rest of the staff, coaches, assistant coaches, and trainers. Connie went through all of them, giving their names and a little bit about their background, and finishing with Eric. Did Eric get an extra loud cheer, or did Bridget imagine it? Connie explained there were 6 teams, distinct from the cabin assignments. Each team had its own color, and they would each be given team shirts with their names when their names were called. For a moment, they'd be called... Nope. From the moment they'd be called 1 through 6, and the teams would have the honor of naming themselves, blah blah. Connie assigned each of the 6 teams a head coach, an assistant, and a trainer. Eric was with Team 4. Please let me be on his team, Bridget silently begged. Connie consulted the ubiquitous clipboard. Erin, Susanna, Team 5. Time to calm down. The list was alphabetical. Bridget found herself hating every girl chosen for Team 4. At last, the V's. Freeland, Bridget, Team 3. She was disappointed, but when she strode forward to collect her 3 identical green t-shirts, she was gratified to see that Eric, whatever else he was not immune to her hair. Karma, leave it to me to fall in love at an all-girls camp. Lesbians. I haven't even spoken to him. His name is Eric, and he is beautiful. I want him. I wish you could see him. You would love him, but you can't have him. He's mine. Mine. I'm insane. I'm going swimming. This is a very romantic place. B. I don't like the sound of Bree's story here. Hydrate. I say as I'm drinking soda. Okay. I'm dying a slow death at Wallman's, Tibby decided the next afternoon under the whirring fluorescent lights. This job probably wouldn't cause death any sooner than the normal time, but it would be very painful. Why don't stores like this ever have any windows? She wondered. Did they imagine one glimpse of sunshine might cause their caged, pasty employees to bolt? Today she was back in aisle 2, this time restocking geriatric diapers. What was it about her and personal hygiene? Last night her mother had asked her to use her special discount to get diapers for her brother and sister. She didn't confess that she'd already lost her discount. As she stacked packages of Depends, her body and brain function seemed to slow to their lowest setting. She could imagine her brainwaves flatlining on one of those hospital machines, just dying here at Wallman's. Suddenly she heard a crash, and she snapped her head around. In fascination, she watched her entire pyramid of roll-on antiperspirants collapse under the weight of a falling girl. The falling girl didn't catch herself. The falling girl didn't catch herself as Tibby expected, but dropped right to the ground, her head making a hollow thwonk on the linoleum. Oh God, Tibby thought, running over to the girl. Tibby had the sensation that she was watching it happen on TV rather than actually experiencing it. Antiperspirant rolled in all directions. This girl was maybe 10. Her eyes were closed. Her blonde hair fanned out over the floor. Was she dead? Tibby wondered in a panic. She remembered her headset. Hello, hello, she shouted into it, pressing various buttons, wishing she knew how to work it. She sprinted toward the front checkout. Emergency. There's an emergency in aisle 2. Call 911, she ordered. It was rare she spoke so many words in a row without a hint of sarcasm. A girl is lying unconscious in aisle 2. Let's switch hands. Satisfied that Brianna was making the call, Tibby ran back to the girl. She was still lying there, not moving. Tibby took her hand. She searched for a pulse, feeling like she'd suddenly landed on an emergency room show. A pulse was pulsing away. She reached for the girl's wallet in her purse, then she stopped herself. Weren't you not supposed to touch anything until the police got there? Or no, that was if it was a murder. She was mixing up her cop shows and her doctor shows. She went ahead and got the wallet. However, this girl's parents would certainly want to know that she was lying unconscious in the middle of Wallman's. There was a library card, a handy horoscope card cut out from a magazine. Some girl's toothy skull picture with the name Maddie and a lot of X's and O's on the back. 4 $1 bills. How completely useless. It was just the kind of stuff Tibby had carried in her wallet when she was that age. At that moment, 3 EMS guys carrying a stretcher stormed the aisle. 2 of them started poking at the girl, and the other studied a silver medical bracelet encircling her left wrist. Tabby hadn't thought about checking the girl's wrist. The third guy had questions for Tibby. So what happened? Did you see? Not exactly, Tibby said. I heard a noise, and I turned around, and I saw her crashing into the display there. She hit her head on the floor. I guess she fainted or something. The EMS guy was no longer focused on Tibby's face, but on the wallet she held in her hands. What's that? He asked. Oh, her wallet. You took her wallet? Tibby's eyes opened wide. She suddenly realized how it looked. Why don't you go ahead and give that back to me? The man said slowly. Was he treating her like a criminal, or was she being paranoid? Tibby didn't feel like ridiculing him with her famous mouth. She felt like crying. I wanted to find her phone number, she explained, shoving the wallet at him. I wanted to tell her parents what was going on. The man's eyes softened. Why don't you just sit tight for a second while we get her into the ambulance? Oh, sorry. The hospital will take care of contacting her parents. Tibby clutched the wallet and followed the men and the stretcher outside. In seconds, they loaded the girl up. Tibby saw by the stain on the girl's jeans and the wetness left behind that she'd peed on herself. Tibby quickly turned her head, as she always did when she saw a stranger crying. Fainting and whacking your head seemed okay to witness, but this felt like too much information. Can I come along? Tibby didn't know why she'd asked, except that she was worried the girl would wake up and only see scary EMS guys. They made room so that Tibby could sit close to the girl. She reached out and held the girl's hand. Again, she wasn't sure why, except that she had a feeling that if she were zooming down Old Georgetown Road, the Old Town Road, in an ambulance, she would want somebody to be holding her hand. At the intersection of Wisconsin and Bradley, the girl came to. She looked around, blinking, confused. She squeezed Tibby's hand, then looked to see whose hand it was. When she saw Tibby, she looked bewildered and then skeptical. Wide-eyed, the girl took in Tibby's "I am Tibby" name tag in her green smock. Then she turned to the EMS guy sitting on her other side. Why is the girl from Wallman's holding my hand? She asked. Whoa. There was a knock. Carmen glanced to the door and sat up on the rug. Her suitcase was open, but she hadn't put anything away yet. Yes. Can I come in? She was pretty sure it was Krista. No, you can't. Yeah. The door opened tentatively. Carmen, it's dinner time. Are you ready to come down? Only Krista's head came through the doorway. Carmen could smell her lip gloss. She suspected Krista was an uptalker. Even declarative statements came out as questions. I'll be down in a minute, Carmen said. Krista retreated and closed the door. Carmen stretched back out on her floor for a minute. How did she get here? How had this happened? This is not my beautiful wife. This is not my beautiful house. Do you guys know that song? Okay, anyway. She pictured the alternate universe Carmen, who was polishing off a burger with her dad at a downtown restaurant before challenging him to a game of pool. She was jealous of that Carmen. Carmen trudged downstairs and took her place at the elaborately set table. Multiple forks were fine at a restaurant, but in somebody's own dining room, there were matching white covered dishes that turned out to contain all kinds of homemade food. Lamb chops, roasted potatoes, sautéed zucchini and red peppers, carrot salad, warm bread. Carmen jumped when she felt Krista's hand reaching for hers. She yanked it away without thinking. Krista's cheeks flushed. Sorry. She murmured, we hold hands for grace. She looked at her father. He was happily holding Paul's hand on one side and reaching for hers on the other. That's what they do. What we do. She felt like asking her father, aren't we supposed to be a family too? Oh, she submitted to hand-holding in an unfamiliar grace. Her father was the one who refused to convert to Catholicism to please Carmen's maternal grandparents. Now he was Mr. Grace? Yeah, I'd be mad too. Carmen's maternal grandparents. Nope, I just read that again. Carmen thought forlornly of her mother. She and her mom said grace now, but they hadn't when her dad still lived with them. She stared at Lydia. What kind of power did this woman have? She's a witch. Lydia, this is fabulous, her father said. It's great, Krista chimed in. Carmen felt her father's eyes on her. She was supposed to say something. She just sat there and chewed. Paul was quiet. He looked at Carmen, then looked down. Rain slapped against the windows. Silverware scraped and teeth chewed. Well, Carmen, Krista ventured, you don't look at all like I was imagining. Carmen swallowed a big bite without chewing. Ooh, this didn't help. She cleared her throat. You mean I look Puerto Rican? She leveled Krista with a stare. Krista tittered and then backtracked. No, I meant like, you have like dark eyes and dark hair and dark skin and a big butt. Carmen felt like adding. Right, Carmen said. I look Puerto Rican, like my mother. My mother is Puerto Rican, as in Hispanic. My dad might not have mentioned that. Well, her dad's not mentioning a lot of things. I don't blame her. Krista's voice grew so quiet, Carmen wasn't even sure she was still talking. I'm not sure if Krista trailed off till she was just mouthing words at her plate. Carmen has my height and my talent for math, her dad piped up. It was lame, but Carmen appreciated it anyway. Lydia nodded earnestly. Why did I say it? Paul still didn't. I did it again. Paul still didn't say anything. So, Carmen, Lydia placed her fork on her plate. Your father tells me you are a wonderful tennis player. Carmen's mouth happened to be completely full at the moment. It seemed to take about 5 long minutes to chew and swallow. I'm okay, was the big payoff. Carmen knew that she was being stingy with her little answers. She could have expanded or asked a question back, but she was angry. She was so angry. She didn't understand herself. She didn't want Lydia's food to taste good. She didn't want her dad to enjoy it so much. She didn't want Krista to look like a little doll in her lavender cardigan. She wanted Paul to actually say something and not just sit there thinking she was a stupid lunatic. She hated these people. She didn't want to be here. Suddenly she felt dizzy. She felt panic cramping her stomach. Her heart was knocking around unsteadily. She stood up. Can I call Mom? She asked her dad. Of course, he said, getting up too. Why don't you use the phone in the guest room? She left the table without another word and ran upstairs. Mama, she sobbed into the phone a minute later. Every day since the end of school, she'd pushed her mother away little by little, anticipating her summer with her dad. Now she needed her mother, and she needed her mother to forget about all those times. What is it, baby? Daddy's getting married. He's got a whole family now. He's got a wife and 2 blonde kids in this fancy house. What am I doing here? Oh, Carmen, my gosh. He's getting married, is he? Who is she? My God, you're co-parenting a child. You know nothing about each other. Her mom couldn't help letting a little of her own curiosity creep through her concern. Yes, in August. Her name is Lydia. Lydia who? I don't know. Carmen cast herself on the floral bedspread. Her mother sighed. What are the kids like? I don't know. Blonde and quiet. How old? Carmen didn't feel like answering questions. She felt like getting babied and pitied. Teenagers. The boy is older than me. I don't know. Well, he should have told you before you went down there. Yeah, no shit. Carmen could detect the edge of anger in her mother's voice, but she didn't want to deal with it. I'm fine, Mom. He said he wanted to tell me in person. It's just, I don't even feel like being here anymore. Oh, honey, you're disappointed not to have your daddy to yourself. Why is the mom so chill about this? When it was put like that, Carmen couldn't find the appropriate space for her indignation. It's not that, she wailed. They're so... What? I don't like them. Carmen's anger made her inarticulate. Why not? I just don't. They don't like me either. How can you tell? Her mom asked. I just can, Carmen said suddenly. I feel like I'm really good at being a teenager. Carmen said sullenly, loathing herself for being such a baby. Are you mad at these strangers, or are you mad at your dad? I'm not mad at Dad, Carmen said quickly without taking even a moment to consider it. It wasn't his fault he'd fallen for a woman with zombies for children in a guest room straight out of a Holiday Inn. Carmen, that's kind of misogynistic to blame the lady who did nothing to you. She said goodbye to her mother and promised to call the next day. Then she rolled over and cried for reasons she didn't quite understand. Some sane part of her brain told her she should feel happy for her dad. He'd met a woman he loved enough to marry. He had this whole life now. It was obviously what he wanted. She knew she should want him for what he wanted. Nope. She should want for him what he wanted for himself. But still she hated them. And so she hated herself for hating them. Okay. Slowly, Bridget waded into warm water. 1,000 triggerfish darted around her ankles. I want Eric, she told Diana, who was on Team 4. Will you trade places with me? It wasn't the first time she'd proposed this. Diana laughed at her. Do you think they'd notice? He's leading a run at 5, Emily said. Bridget looked at her watch. Shit, that's in 5 minutes. Oh, they swearing. You're not seriously going to go, Diana said. Bridget was already out of the water. Yeah, I am. It's 6 miles, Emily said. The truth was, Bridget hadn't run even 1 mile in over 2 months. Where are they meeting up? By the equipment shed, Emily said, wading deeper in the water. I'd be over here swimming. I don't want to run a mile. I don't want to run 6 miles. That's why I'm not an athlete. See you all, Bridget called over her shoulder. In the cabin, she yanked on a pair of shorts over her bikini bottoms and traded her top for a sports bra. She pulled on socks and her running shoes. It was too hot to worry about whether running in just the bra was acceptable. The group had already started off. Bridget had to chase them down a dirt path. She should have taken a minute to stretch. There were about 15 of them. Bridget hung back for the first mile or so until she found her stride. Her legs were long and she carried no extra weight. Skinny. It made her a naturally good runner even when she was out of practice. She pulled up with the middle of the pack. Eric noticed her. She pulled up closer to him. Hi, I'm Bridget, she said. Bridget. He let her catch up with him. Most people called me B, though. B as in Bumble? She nodded and smiled. I'm Eric, he offered. I know, she said. He turned to face the group. We're doing 17 miles. No, my goodness, guys. I cannot read. We're doing 7-minute miles today. I'm assuming we have serious runners in this group. If you get tired, just fall back to your own pace. I don't expect everybody to finish with me. Jesus, 7-minute miles. The path led uphill. She kicked up dust from the dry ground, and over the hills the land flattened out again. They ran along a riverbed which carried just a trickle in the dry season. She was sweating, but her breathing was in check. She stayed up with Eric. I heard you're from LA, she said. Some people liked to talk when they ran. Some people hated it. She was interested to test out which type he was. Yeah, he said. She had just cast him as a type 2 when he opened his mouth again. I've spent a lot of time here, though. Here in Baja, she asked. Yeah, my mom's Mexican. She's from, I don't know how to say this, Mulegé? Really? Bridget asked, genuinely interested. That explained his looks. Just a few miles south of here, right? Right, he agreed. What about you? I'm from Washington, D.C. My dad is from Amsterdam. Wow, so you know the whole foreign parent syndrome. She laughed, pleased at how this was going. I do. What about your mom? And here, without warning, she'd come directly to second test. This was the one usually saved for much further down the road if she could. My mom was. She was still indecisive and tense when it came to this. My mom was from Alabama. She died. Bridget had spent 4 years saying her mother passed away, but then the term started to really annoy her. It didn't fit with what happened. He turned his head and looked her straight on. Sorry. She felt a sweat dry up on her skin. It was a disarmingly honest thing to say, and she looked away. At least he hadn't said, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. I'm so sad for you. She felt the sweat dry up on her skin. It was a disarmingly honest thing to say. She looked away. At least he hadn't said, I'm sorry. Like I just did. She suddenly felt exposed in her running bra. With most guys, she managed to forestall this issue indefinitely. She'd gone out with guys for months at a time and not had this conversation. It was strange that with Eric it had come up in the first 2 minutes. Carmen would take that as a sign of something, but then Carmen was always looking for signs. Bridget never did. You go to Columbia now? She asked, leaving her comfort on the path behind them. Yeah, do you like it? It's a strange school for an athlete. Sports aren't exactly a big emphasis there. Right. But it's got a great soccer program and the academics are obviously good. That was a big deal to my mom. Makes sense, she said. His profile was awfully nice. He was picking up the pace now. She took that as a challenge. She always enjoyed a challenge. She glanced back to see that the group had thinned a lot. She kept with him in stride for stride. She loved the feeling of strain in her muscles, the exhilaration that came with mountain exhaustion. How old are you? He asked her point blank. She was hoping to finesse this issue. Girl. She knew she was among the youngest girls here. 16, she answered. She would be soon. It wasn't a crime to round up, was it? Choices. Are you thinking about colleges yet? He asked. Maybe the University of Virginia, she said. She actually had no idea. The truth was the coach at UVA had already commented on Bridget. To her high school coach, Bridget knew she didn't have to worry about college, even if her grades weren't that spectacular. Great school, he said. Now she was pushing the pace. She was feeling good, and the excitement of being this close to Eric was energizing her muscles. They circled back around to finish the run up at the beach. You must be pretty serious about running, he said to her. I haven't run in months. And with that, she accelerated to a near sprint. The rest of the group had fallen behind. She was curious to see whether Eric would stick to his preset pace or abandon it to keep up with her. She felt his elbow brush hers. She smiled. Race, yeah. They sprinted the half-mile up the beach. There was so much adrenaline filling Bridget's veins. She could have flown the distance. She collapsed on the sand. He collapsed too. I think we set a record, he said.
spread out. Nope. She spread out her arms, happy. I've always been a goal-oriented.
Me too.
Bridget rolled around in the sand until she was covered like a sugar donut. He watched her, laughing. The rest of the group would catch up in a couple of minutes. She stood and kicked off her shoes and socks. She looked right at him when she pulled off her shorts, revealing her bikini bottoms. Then she yanked the elastic out of her hair. Yellow clumps stuck to her sweaty shoulders and back. He looked away. Let's swim. His face was serious now. He didn't move. She didn't wait for him. She waded in several yards and then dove under. When she came up, she saw that he'd stripped off his soaked t-shirt. She didn't pretend not to stare. Girl. Choices. Eric dove in after her, and she prayed he would. He swam past where she was in the surface, a few yards away. Oh my god, guys. Eric dove in after her, just as she prayed he would. He swam past where she was and surfaced a few yards away. Bridget raised her arms in the air for no reason. She jumped up and down in the water, unable to contain her energy. This is the best place in the world. He laughed again, his serious face gone. She dove under the surface and plummeted to the sandy bottom. Slowly, she passed his feet. Without thinking, he reached out. She reached out her hand and touched his ankle with her finger, light as a triggerfish. Girl. I think that is an excellent place to stop for the evening. It's very cold where I live right now. It's about 12 degrees when I woke up this morning. So I hope everyone who's cold stays warm, and I hope everyone who's warm stays cool. Alright, good night.